Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar, Background Screening with Transparency, Trends in 2019. Speaking of transparency, our webinar presenter, Jeff Ernst, Orange Tree's VP of Sales and Marketing, invites you to text in your questions to him at 952-237-7471. Jeff will be peeling the orange today, providing a transparent look at the background screening industry with the opportunity to openly ask questions that are on your mind. Just a reminder, the presentation and recording of the webinar will be available afterwards. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, everyone from balmy Minneapolis. And I wish I could say that is the look outside my window here. It's a bit different, although there's some commonality. Those white waves, there's a lot of white here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but it's not live. That's actually a photo my lovely wife took on a vacation to the Dominican a few years ago. And those colors are the actual colors of that part of the world. What could be more beautiful? And certainly to think about here on this cold day from Minneapolis. So I thought we'd begin a bit with an icebreaker, as many presenters do at this time of the year. And just taking a look at the map here of the state of Minnesota, you can tell where we are, in case those of you out there are not exactly familiar with where the Twin Cities is located in relation to some of the colder parts of the state. Many of you have probably heard of International Falls, home of the famous Sears Die-Hard battery years ago, and maybe the others are less familiar, but there's a reason they're included, and not the least of which Tower, Minnesota, which 23 years ago, in just a few days from today, is the actual coldest recorded temperature in Minnesota, and that's saying something. 60 below on February 2nd, 1996. And folks, that's the standard temperature. That is not the feels like or wind chill temperature. So before we begin, I thought we're going to introduce a little technology in this year's webinar series from Orange Tree. And this is the opportunity for you to interact with us. And we're starting with an easy question. The question is, where is it coldest today in the state of Minnesota? And you do have the choices down there. In fact, we have included Antarctica to just kind of accentuate the impact of the polar vortex here in Minnesota, this part of the country for that matter. So you can text in your responses, A, B, C, or D, by texting OTES, O-T-E-S, it's there on the screen, to the number 22333. You can also, if you're at your system, you can go to open your browser, type in the URL polev.com/OTES, and the window should appear for you, and you can place your vote. So while we have some responses coming in, and by the way, no going to a Google prompt, no weather.com. You just have to kind of go with your gut. Just remember, Tower is the record cold city in the state of Minnesota. So while you're doing that, we thought we would share with you what we were up to a little bit earlier here in Minneapolis.
How long does it take to make an ice cube in Minneapolis when it's 47 below wind chill? Let's find out. About 1.5 seconds, just like your background check, fast and easy from Orange Tree.
And I want everyone to know there was actually ice cubes on the snow. We did not have ice cubes in that cup. So I would recommend those of you in this area, this part of the country, you do try it at home. It's kind of fun. Might be a little activity for you and your children this evening, or maybe even a spouse or a significant other. So the responses are coming in. It looks like folks believe that Tower, Minnesota is where it is coldest today. Oops, we already watched that. The answer is, it's actually Warroad, Minnesota. Can you believe it? It was 38 degrees below zero this morning, a little bit after 8 o'clock, ironically, or just maybe a point of interest. It was actually a little bit colder after 8, then 7, then 6, then 5, and even 1 o'clock last morning. I did check. The feels like temperature in Warroad, however, is exceeded by that in Baudette. It was a little bit windier in Baudette this morning. It was a beautiful 59 below zero, feels like, in Baudette. So one other piece of trivia, then we'll get to our topic for today, and that is, of course, everyone's heard of the moniker, the nickname of Land of 10,000 Lakes here in the state of Minnesota. Actually, there are 15,926 lakes in Minnesota. I think you can Google that. If not, don't tell me. Just tell Heidi on our compliance team. She cares abundantly about every statement and my accuracy toward that. I don't really have an explanation for why there's a delta other than maybe in the humble nature of the Scandinavians who settled in this part of the country. We just got to 10,000, thought that was enough, or probably more likely they just got tired of counting. So to jump into our topics today, boy, we've got a lot of things going on in this industry. There's a ton of things that we can talk about, and we only have so much time. And if you're interested, let us know. We can do something like this again. Let us know what else is on your mind. As we are sitting down looking at these topics, some are recurring themes, but just because they're recurring and not necessarily a new trend, I think it does, especially this time of the year, bear some time to talk about those particular topics. But what we didn't include, boy, we had gig economy, a lot of things that we could talk about there. Social media sort of offerings, there's a topic and lots of things we could probably surface, probably questions that are on your mind. But we came up with these. We're going to talk today a little bit about some lawsuits, some technology, continuous monitoring, and we'll take a look into the visibility of some things in our marketplace. So it seems in the spirit of the polar vortex, our theme today should be something to do with glaciers, and in this particular scene here, I really think epitomizes the day in your life, if I could suggest as such. You are on that ladder on your way to the to the mount of Mount Everest, and along the way, you have to walk across some crevices, a very delicate balance from one side of the equation to the other. So on one side, you're trying to navigate law, American Disability Act, Equal Opportunity Commission, the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, ban the box. You have California and Massachusetts, and I can probably just leave it there, and everyone knows what I'm saying. And you have historically low unemployment. So you've got a lot of things working that you have to navigate on that side of the ledger, if you will, or that side of the iceberg. And then on the other side, as you walk back, maybe you didn't want to actually go to the right, but you wanted to return to the left. And I'm not sure that's any easier, because you've got open positions, you've got hiring managers, they need people in seats, they need people on the lines, people in the field. And boy, we've got a burgeoning economy, and every hour that someone's not in the seat, someone wants to know about it. And then frankly, if things aren't working as well as you'd like, but due to the low unemployment, you may end up in a situation where candidates, you think you're going to have someone complete the offer letter process, and all of a sudden they disappear. It becomes Halloween in January, and it's no fun to have ghosts and goblins this time of the year. So you are in a tough position, no doubt about it. So first trend we're taking a look at, you're in this pressure cooker, you're trying to find people the right way, and yet, my gosh, lawsuits continue to rise. In fact, it's the only industry last year that actually saw an increase in lawsuits, this FCRA sort of base industry, and you kind of scratch your head and maybe you wonder why, and maybe you don't, but it's the environment we're in, so we just have to face the reality. And if you didn't see it announced here in the last few days, Walmart, there was a suit approved for a 5 million person lawsuit against Walmart, so we'll see what happens with that in the coming days. So here's the answer to the question I posed just a moment ago, and why are lawsuits on the rise? It's pretty simple: money. Money is the bloodline of business, and obviously it's the bloodline of for the law field. The going rate for law firms on a given award is about 25%, probably give or take. Your mileage might vary, but if you look at the recent Petco case, it lands right there. So when you break that down, it's kind of interesting, and that is that the law firm got $300,000. That was their award. They got their expenses covered, like the 300K didn't cover that, I suppose. And then the 37,729 victims, if that's the right word, or recipients. I'm looking at my cohort, Suzanne here, to try to find the right noun. Well, they received $20 each, an additional 58, for a disclosure situation. 58 additional individuals had some sort of issue with adverse action, so they got 150 more bucks, 170 total. And then the two who used their last name as plaintiffs in the case, they each received $5,000. So you can see in a hurry what the motivation appears to be here, and I don't see a lot of relief in sight. Two other factors that are what they are, and that is it's pretty easy in this environment, just given the similarity of what you all and what we all are trying to do on a living, for a living. It's pretty easy to create and earn a class action status, and we have a settle versus fight mentality, which I'm not sure anyone would particularly disagree with. So kind of the bottom line, you don't want to show up on this list. You certainly don't want to end up off the ladder like that guy did over there on the right-hand side. So gosh, how do you stay on the ladder? Kind of some straightforward advice, kind of simple to state. Hey, have sound procedures, make sure you document your policy and execute that policy consistently. Make sure you have separate authorization and disclosure forms. There's some state-specific things we can help you out with. All good background screen providers can do that. And make sure you have a multi-step adverse action process. Boy, that just seems pretty simple. Yet, why do we have all these lawsuits? Why are we putting all this money into law firms' pockets? Well, because something's a simple idea doesn't mean it's necessarily simplistic to execute. And so that's why we exist. The background Sherpas here since 1990 at Orange Tree. We can help you. We can guide you through all of the trials and tribulations that you face on each side of that icefall crevice. One final note on lawsuits and maintaining compliance with law and societal de facto standards, expectations, and realities. Orange Tree just published an ebook which overviews the ban-to-box legislation on a state-by-state basis. This is truly a must-have. If you haven't already downloaded your copy, contact us right now. There's a chat window associated with the tool. I'm not sure we mentioned that. You can contact us. There is, right, Suzanne? So you can contact us via the chat tool. If you're there at a keyboard, that might be quicker than a text. I know I'd break my two thumbs if I was using my phone. But if you're like my 23-year-old daughter, feel free to text us. She's pretty quick with that. However, you want to, in fact, you can send a homing pigeon to us if you want with your questions. Just make sure they're under heavy duty Under Armour today. It's a bit chilly up here in Minneapolis, and we'll make sure we get a copy of that ban-to-box to you as fast as we can. Okay, so next question. Hopefully you got everything set up. You've got your URL loaded, or you've got your texting all set up. And I'll make sure I've got this thing active over here. Yep, it's active. We should be ready to go. Next question. This one's business related, possibly something you haven't thought about, or maybe one that you're surprised to see being asked. Nonetheless, we'd appreciate your input. With the gig economy or the contractor workplace continuing to grow according to virtually limitless numbers, and certainly very impactful in terms of its impact on the workforce, there seems to be a possible undercurrent for candidates to have their own background report. So, simple question, would you accept a background screen report from a candidate in place of running one yourself? This audience seems to be pretty certain. Has everyone voted? Are there two? Maybe I should put in a yes just to kind of skew that thing. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good to know. Hey, our next topic. This one's really part and parcel to what you guys are trying to accomplish, and that is, how do you reduce turnaround time? How do you increase the accuracy? How do you get your jobs done more proficiently, more efficiently? And so, technology is the heart of providing the best turnaround times. There's no mistaking that. But is it the only factor? Of course not. You need mobile optimized candidate engagement and interaction tools, and you also need dedicated, knowledgeable, and responsive customer service. You need properly and regularly trained users on how to use the systems that are provided to you. And frankly, and this one probably might be a source of frustration for all of us, and we have to talk about it more over happy hour sort of engagements, but you need candidates to do what they need to do in a timely fashion, and that isn't always easy. But I'll tell you what, there are ways you can influence that candidate experience, and technology is part and parcel to that. So any deviation or delay in any of these factors can lead to turnaround times that are just simply longer than any of us would like. So how do you really enable speed in the process? Well, these are the technology sort of subjects, if you will, in the process. I don't think we're going to go through all of them today. I've got a couple that I want to highlight, and we can come back to others or ask questions if you'd like to learn a little bit more about our adjudication tool or our web services capabilities. So again, simple concept, technology, the orange arrows take you from one icon through all 5, pretty simple stuff. I could click this again and the data would flow through. Again, not simplistic to deliver, however. In fact, it takes huge commitment, confidence in your flawless execution. And while we're not quite flawless here at Orange Tree, we think we're pretty good at what we do, and sure love to, if we're not working with you, show you just how good we can be. So that said, through an extensive use of technology, leading client and candidate experiences can be realized. For example, think about this, a typical order that we see, looking at Suzanne, keep me honest here, we're going to run a criminal check, we're going to run a trace, there's probably a verification or 2, drug test maybe. All of that's a lot of stuff going on. There are a lot of integrations, there are a lot of factors that impact turnaround time there. And the more integrations you have, the more technology you have, the more accurate data is going to flow around that circle, and the quicker everything's going to happen relative to turnaround time. But you have to have modern tools. You have to have something that candidates and your users can interact with very easily. In this day and age, this chart, the technology on this chart is something that you should expect. And if you have any areas of dissatisfaction or concern on any of those, then you need to reach out to your provider, including us, and then let us know where we're not quite meeting what you'd like us to do for you. How a company enables this. There's different approaches that you can take. You can have your own development team. We do. We made a strategic investment a while ago to have our own development team, and that allows us the ability to prioritize and reprioritize projects based on where the market's going, based on some things that our partners place upon us. The work number is an example of that, as well as you. Most notably, if not most importantly, you all have needs that you'd like us to achieve on your behalf, and so we're able to do that. If a firm, on the other hand, is reliant on someone else, then it may be difficult for that provider to deliver new function, especially given anything specific for a given client in an expected time frame. So there's trade-offs, and certainly that would be one of them, and that is you'd be in a long queue when you're trying to have something delivered for you. One thing to think about is that this integration, it's very notable to think about the ATS integration. We'll talk about that in a moment. But there is every organization in this market, in the industry that we participate in, has back-end partners, people who are doing research, et cetera, and so on. And it's a very serious effort to develop, to maintain, to enhance, and to modify those integrations over the course of time. And as there are more and more services available for you all to consider, it just puts more emphasis on background screen company's ability to provide those technologies and capabilities to you so that you can get the service you want in the time frame you want it with the accuracy that you've come to expect from this industry. If I could summarize, I would just say you want, in fact, I almost missed the icons on the left and right hand side here. Those are pretty important, because on the left we have the NAPBS accreditation standard. There's about 105 of us, I think, in industry, about 1 out of 9 roughly. So that should be a meets minimum expectation on your vendor list. And what does that mean? It means that we understand the industry, we are industry experts, and we know how to conduct our business complicit with the expectations of law, et cetera. On the right-hand side is an icon that speaks. It's more of an IT industry standard for data security and privacy. I think it's a bit broader than that, but in terms of the audience here today, what you really care about is that SOC 2 means you know how to take care of data, you know how to handle personal information and data privacy, et cetera. And to earn that logo, to be able to put it on the chart, I think is one that if you haven't given serious consideration to putting on your vendor requirements list, you really ought to think about that, because you want and deserve end-to-end peace of mind, and you need technology which produces accurate results quickly, reliably, and as I mentioned here in the last couple of seconds, securely. So I thought I'd take a look at the modern ATS / background integration. A lot of things going on here. There's a lot of hype in the marketplace, and sometimes there's hype, and sometimes hype means hyperbole. I think like every sort of industry, there's somewhere in between, depending upon your requirements. We can help you make that assessment. Is it hype or is it hyperbole? And we have leading integrations. Think of Ultimate Software, think of iSIMS, just to name a couple. I think there's only 292 in the industry, so there's a lot to choose from. The promise today is, if you will, and that is, gosh, we can create an integration in days versus it used to take weeks. And there's a huge productivity gain for our recruiters. We can do so kind of almost frictionless from an IT perspective. Everything's fast and easy, and everything's better, faster, et cetera, for our candidates. And you know what? There's a lot of truth to all of that, and depending upon what you're looking for and where you're at and where you want to go, there could be truth across those 5-6 bullets that we're looking at on the left-hand side. So I would just say this: it depends. If you're using a vendor's integration or platform today, and you're moving to something that you believe is more modern, it's going to give you some advantage. Maybe, for instance, your recruiter can do more in that pane of glass, more of their work, and they can see a lot of the updates from the background check that they couldn't see before. They'd have to go to the background screens provider portal. You know what? If that's an enhancement in productivity to you, there are definitely improvements in the marketplace, and we should talk to you. On the other hand, we should also talk to you because oftentimes the ATS provider overlooks something pretty simple. Yeah, it's simple but not simplistic again, and that is you have production, you have orders that you need to process on a day-to-day basis, and you can't stop what you're doing to move to the next thing. And oftentimes when you hear those marketing terms, it takes a minute, it takes a day. Well, that's predicated on if Jeff Ernst opens a new company tomorrow and I'm an employee, a company of one, yeah, I can implement an ATS in a couple of minutes, and certainly by the end of the day. However, if I'm one of you and you've been in business and you are hiring lots of people, have been hiring lots of people, well, then we need to sit down and just talk about that planning process and make sure that we understand how everything's going to work, make sure that the assumptions haven't created some problems for us, and that ultimately we get exactly what you need. So in addition to the ATS, I think another element of technology that's critical in this time is the technology that your candidates, and we really consider it our candidates. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, or if you know, hopefully you know this, and that is our service level agreements pass through to your candidates. So when we say we're going to respond 95, our business objectives are 95% of requests we get for help, we're going to respond to 95% of those at least in less than 2 hours. When we say we're going to provide an answer the first time you reach out to us 90% of the time, that extends to your candidate. So when you start thinking about the modern candidate experience, yep, you have technology on one side and everyone needs something that's easy to use, and that's a real screen. What could be easier than that screen that you see on the right? Optimized for mobile technology, tablet technology. More than 60% of our candidates are using this tablet sort of experience. They love it. We have a very high rating in terms of easy to use and very easy to use, high levels of satisfaction. So technology is paramount, but just what's not on the chart, just remember, you still need someone there to answer the phone, run to the phone when it's ringing, and answer the question at the time that the person's on the line. If you're unable to answer a question, or if you don't pick up the phone, all of a sudden your turnaround time with the greatest technology in the world just really isn't, you're not going to be happy, and no one's going to be happy, and the last thing we want are ghosts on this call. I think we talked about that. So anyway, back to this candidate experience, look at that word in red. It's crazy anxious, right? You're changing careers, you're trying to meet your numbers, you've got hiring managers, you got all this stuff going on. And if you could provide real-time status updates, if you can keep everyone involved, you can make the interface just very easy to interact with. That solves that problem, and everything else kind of falls into place. Becomes details, they become process oriented, but become very important. Because back to that lawsuit, remember that chart? Why are people getting sued? It's because they aren't handling things like disclosures right. They aren't handling authorizations properly. They aren't doing the adverse action. They aren't enabling reports for the candidates. We do that, and we do that right there on that mobile phone, that thing that if you look at most of us, I can't tell the difference between our hands and our phones anymore. So we are there where the candidates are at with the entirety of the background screening process. And let's face it, 90% of texts are read in 3 seconds. May not respond, but I guarantee you they're read, and probably even a higher percentage of that today. So that's where we're at. And just a point of interest, I think that's important to know. When you are in that process of looking for a new job, yes, you're sitting there at a terminal. All of you are on some sort of terminal today. However, it's a little bit more difficult if I get an email, and then I have to go. Some vendors require their candidates to create an account. Well, no one's going to do that. You're going to put the phone down. You're going to shut that browser, because you're not going to do that in front of the folks in your office. So you're going to lose turnaround time, vital turnaround time. And you know what? You're going to frustrate candidates. And you know what they're going to do? They're just going to go to the next job. Another thing that people are doing, and this is unbelievable to me, I can't hardly even imagine this, but they offer the candidate the ability to use their social media accounts to log into their background process. Hello, private information. You don't want that going through Facebook and other social media accounts. Just read the press, type in, go to a Google prompt. You can find stuff on, you just don't want to do that. I got to stop. So, final piece of the puzzle, critical piece, and I think it's going to dovetail nicely here. There's still a reason to have a modern background screen portal. It's got to be easy to use. It has to have a lot of information. It needs to be custom to your business. You want real-time status updates. When these new modern ATSs that I mentioned a moment ago, yep, there's a lot of stuff you can see in the portal, but guess what? When you want to look at annotations within a particular service category, you got to come here. That's not in the ATS. We raised our hand with one of our key partners and said, hey, look, we really think candidates want, or our clients want this. They said, yep, I'm sure they do, but we can't do it now. So you still have to come here. And when you come here, you want to be able to use it. You want to be able to get the information that you're looking for. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, not the least of which the ATSs don't handle rechecks, don't handle adverse action letters. And when you think about some things we're going to talk about in a minute with regards to continuous monitoring, they don't do that either. So you still have to come here. So make sure this is on your checklist and you understand what you're getting from your provider. So here we are. This is how do we work together in this process. On one side, you've got all this law that we've already talked about. On the other side, you've got all these business needs. Truly, it might be safer actually on that ladder. Now that I think about it. Or, you know what, you join the Sherpas here at Orange Tree, you see this, that's what we do. We help you get to the top, and we'll do it one way or another. Another way we're thinking about this, and I think this is really timely, the technology's coming together. We have a service offering today, and that is this. If we just look at the market and we're a bit limited on what we can discover versus what we used to be able to uncover, if you will. Like for instance, in California, I can't ask if I've done if I've had any criminal history. Okay, it's the way it is, right? None of us are going to change that. And, pardon me?
Massachusetts.
Yeah, the Massachusetts, no, thank you very much. So, it is what it is. So maybe what we have to do is look for different solutions to get to the same point. And so for any number of reasons, which are all valid, business reasons, legal reasons, societal reasons, where maybe we're going to just change our standards a little bit, low unemployment, whatever. So we're going to broaden our horizons, but we're not going to forget. And so continuous monitoring is truly continuous monitoring. So when you have change data to, and now add criminal, you've probably been doing driver, a variety of driver, random drug tests, different watch lists, professional licenses for some time now, and maybe most notably doing rechecks or promotions or whatever. Well, that's not good enough. I think the expectation really should be, especially given to the things that are going on in the market that are beyond our control, you really need to be looking at that change data. That's something that when it happens today, not 12 months from now, an annual recheck, whatever I've done in the last 12 months here, that's just not good. There's information, there are services available, you should expect more. And I really think maybe it can help us work together in helping you ensure you get the information that you want. It's got to be accurate, it's got to be compliant. We're all about that, obviously. But I think you have to look at something like this, and we'd love to talk to you about it. Kind of final topic, and we're getting here to where I want to pause, maybe take some questions that are coming in and whatnot. But industry life cycle, I've been in this industry for about 13 months, and it's a mature industry. There isn't anyone, and I come from a very mature industry, information technology, spent a long time there and interacting with clients. And so we're in a mature market. I mean, I'm not sure anyone could really argue with that. I don't think anyone's asking, and some, but probably not the folks on this call, should I do a background check? You're asking, gosh, how do I get better at it? Or how do I ensure compliance? Or, hey, tell me more about this continuous monitoring, because I hadn't really thought about that. So we're really in that mature stage. And so why do I care? Gosh, Jeff, I thought you were going to tell me about background checks. Well, the reason you might care, and you'll have to decide on the mileage you're getting with your current provider, and what, including us for that matter, and that is, are you getting the services that you want? Because when vendors get to mature markets, and someone told me there's like 997 of us in this industry. I don't know if that's the right number, but this seems like there's easily more than 500 of us. When that happens, it gets harder to make money, it gets harder to win business, and so things kind of change. When you're on that growth curve, you're in an introduction curve, man, people are just calling, you almost can't employ enough salespeople. You get to that mature stage, it's a different market, a little bit harder to come by, a little bit harder to win, a little bit harder to differentiate, and so people kind of change things. And maybe they aren't always as visible with their fees, with their terms and conditions, with their scope, and I put scope in there twice for some reason. Obviously, I need to have someone look at the scope of my chart, or it's really important to look at your scope, I suppose. So regardless, you want to ensure that you're being treated properly. You don't want to end up in a situation, guys, the number of stories I've met with now via conferences and whatnot, hundreds of clients who have talked to me about the hidden fees. Geez, what's the statutory fee? We have something, we call it a pass-through fee. Pass-through means this, whatever our cost is, that's what we place onto our customers. It's that simple. There's no monkey business, there's no markups on that. What you see in our proposal is what you're going to be invoiced. And I hope this is what you're seeing. I hope you don't have, so pricing is one thing, scope, back to that, we had a client here that gave us some information about what they were getting. I mean, I almost fell out of my chair. I mean, it was just crazy. And it was this, and that is the terms and conditions of the background screeners agreement with them was that they would run unlimited aliases on the name that the applicant provided. And any other names discovered by a locator service would then be priced at a la carte. Well, I suppose in fairness, it was buried on about page 62 of 80 pages in their terms and conditions, so it was there, but I'm just not sure that's how people want to interact with partners. I mean, I think, I guess I would just leave that with you. If that's an example that's uncomfortable for you, maybe you're in that situation today, I can tell you what, there's at least one company that does things differently, and that is we're willing to put things in black and white. We're willing to spell it out. We're willing to work with you to ensure that you're getting exactly what you want. We're making sure that our invoices are not only legible, but they match our proposals, that you're perfectly comfortable with them, and ultimately, we're doing what we said we're going to do. Another one, this one, geez, I got to wear a helmet. A number of times I fall in my chair here, and we had a client who was getting aliases on their federal criminal, but not on their county searches. I mean, I can't even sleep at night, and it's not even my business. So make sure someone's not playing a shell game on you. Make sure you know exactly what you're getting, I guess, if I have to net this out, because Suzanne's telling me to move on. So quickly, a couple of highlights from Orange Street, a lot of technology work, huge integration, huge benefit to our clients. Really, ultimately, no cost to you all for the technology work. Single order, so now you place a background screen, you want the drug all to happen at once. That's going on. The drug test integration extends it beyond that. So you get real-time status updates. Gosh, isn't that frustrating? Did somebody show up? Did they handle the collection? All that sort of stuff. That's now all part of our integration with eScreen. So you will see that annotation in the Client Connect portal as it goes throughout the process. It's going to really alleviate a lot of the questions, remove a lot of the questions you have, and ultimately having to track down your particular candidates. The work number integration, there's a full work history now available for your candidates. That's something I understand that may or may not be, we'll have to work with you all, look forward to the process to do so, to ensure that we're providing the scope that is most interesting to you. And I just thought I would highlight, Talent Reef, a newer ATS in the marketplace, I think kind of focused retail restaurant, probably a better way to say that, hospitality industry, and we have an integration with them. So if that's something, an ATS of your choice, we certainly would love to understand that. Instant value drug tests. So if you were on our last webinar, you heard me talk about this. Just quickly stated, and again, we're 30 days later, unemployment rates continues to be low, and so you want to put people in positions. Here's a way to do this. You're running a drug test, pretty good idea, even given today's standards. This is a less expensive option than a traditional test. Very reliable. There's numbers behind the screen that we can talk to you about. Just when you contact Orange Tree, we'll share those with you. Then if that instant is clear, the candidate can go to work right then, and you don't have to pay the traditional cost. So unless you're at some sort of crazy positive hit rate, and maybe I shouldn't use that adjective, I apologize, strike that. So unless you're at a positive rate of like in excess of 50%, you're going to save money. So it's a no-lose proposition. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there saying, geez, it's new, it's process. Look, we should talk to you about it. You owe it to yourself to at least hear a conversation to see how this might be able to help you get people to work faster and to save money. Who doesn't want to save money? Who doesn't want to employ people faster? So, final question. And if you have questions, we'll take those. I'm just looking at the screen here to see if we have any. So final question for you on our survey technology here today. Love to know where you're going to be attending. This one, you can type in the conference you're going to be at. Over here on the left, it's it's kind of our spring calendar at this point. It's starting to fill up, as you can see. Early April, we're going to be all over the place. Hope to see you. And make sure, if you're at these conferences, you stop by. We'd love to see you. Love to say hi. Love to thank you for your business. And for those of you who are looking for a different experience in the marketplace, gosh, we'd love to talk to you this afternoon at the conclusion of this call. But if that doesn't quite fit your calendar, and the best time for us to see you is in Nashville at the Talent Show, we're going to be there. And we'd love for you to stop by, meet you, and just share with you how, understand your policies, what you're trying to accomplish, and see if we can't help you ultimately cross that. It's the Khumbu, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Khumbu Ice Fall. That's that photo back earlier. On your way to Everest, you have to go across the Khumbu Ice Fall. We want to help you do that safely and help you ensure that your policies, you reach the peak of what you're trying to accomplish in your business every day.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jeff. I see the poll responses keep coming in. Just a reminder, we have some questions that have been texted in, but just a reminder that if you have one, you can do that through the chat through GoToWebinar, or you can text Jeff directly at 952-237-7471. The first question I have related to the Client Connect portal. Is the Client Connect portal also available in addition to our ATS? And to answer that question, yes, absolutely. You always would have access to our Client Connect portal. That would be at no additional charge, and that would be as many users as you would like to have access. Always available in addition to your applicant tracking system ordering and order tracking.
Oh, here we go. Get some questions here in the portal.
Okay. One more text question before we'll get to the questions that were put into the chat. Regarding adverse action letters, can we provide our own language? And I'll answer that one as well. The answer is absolutely. You can customize that. A lot of our clients' legal teams like to insert special language or provide customized verbiage, and we can always accommodate that request, no problem.
Thank you. I apologize, Suzanne. I was reading through the questions here. We do have a number of requests. The answer is yes. To everyone who wants an ebook, we'll absolutely get you one. And we have, if you register during the call, obviously, we have your contact information, your name here, so we will do that, including the call. Long term, I'm reading the question real time. We have long turnaround times, and they state it's because they don't use a database. However, another provider we use has fast turnaround times, but use a database. Is there any compliance issues with using a database? I bet you that's the last word there, boy. That's a great question. Here's the bottom line. You can use a database. And most providers do, quite frankly. If there's a hit in a database, then you have some options. You can just you can take an approach to communicate back to the candidate, et cetera, that, hey, you know what, we've got this hit, and we'll work through the process there. That's a 613 process. I'm not an expert on that. If you can add some specifics here, Suzanne, you should. That's kind of a disaster, because you're engaging the candidate in some sort of process, and it's just really going to wreck their experience with you, and it's going to impact in a negative way their experience with you, with the background provider, and ultimately it's going to lead to turnaround time that just isn't efficient. That's not effective for anybody. Or what we do in a situation like that is we're going to confirm at the source. So if we use database product, we see a hit, we're going to go confirm at the source, and we're going to do that all the time, because we believe in accuracy first. And in that particular case, I mean, of course, it takes time if you're going to do a two-step process. Just by the definition of 2 steps is more than 1. On the other hand, that could be near instant, quite frankly, and depending upon the state and some other details, or with our partner network and whatnot, it could be certainly in a very short period of time. So, Ethan, I don't know if I'm answering your question in totality. I hope that I'm hoping that helpful. But you want to add anything? All right, so if we haven't in your specific state, because there are details, I mean, where your jurisdictions, gosh, as a customer meeting last week, we provided for them for 5 years, we've provided packages, not just like a criminal research, packages in 2 days or less for 5 years. There's so many details that go into that. Of course, if an average is 2, maybe you have some at 3, some at 1. And then you get into jurisdictions. In this particular case, I guess I don't want to pick on states, or seem like I am, but there's some differences, let's say, between North Carolina and Mississippi. So I think most of us on the call probably know that, but the best answer we can always give is at the point of jurisdiction. So if you have some places that you'd like to talk about with us, we'd welcome that opportunity to do so.
Yep. And Ethan, we'll follow up with you to make sure your specific question gets a specific answer as well.
All right, the full service collection site. Full service collection sites for drug screen only.
Yep, we absolutely do. So we partner with eScreen, as Jeff mentioned, through the integration capability that we've recently enhanced. We also partner with Quest. So between both networks, we're happy to do site matches for our clients to make sure that they have the collection site footprints that they would need based on their geography, based on where their candidates are located. So absolutely have those full service collection sites that can do drug screening and occupational health services as well.
There is a question, how much is an instant drug test? Love to talk to you about that. Don't have that right here at my desk. We do have the researcher across the hall, our solutions person. Would love to understand what your requirements are, where. There's always going to be some details in that regard, but we can absolutely help you with that. I'm not sure I understand the first part of the question. What if you don't need to do a drug test? So maybe I'm misunderstanding that. So Mr. Patel, if you can let us know about that, we'd be happy to ensure that we get the information we're looking for. Here's the question. I'm going to read it real time from Eric. Do managers have to have access to the client portal in order to receive status updates, or can they get email updates without having to log into Client Connect?
Good question. Both. You can track the updates real time on the client portal. You can always receive updates as well through email with links to access the portal for more information. Great question. I'm also seeing more texts about the Ban the Box ebook. So don't worry, we'll be sure to send that along with the recording of this presentation and the PowerPoint for your reference as well.
All right, so.
Okay.
To learn more, we have a lot of resources available to you. Go out to orangetreescreening.com. You can find our blog, our website, got some videos out there. There's a YouTube channel under Orange Tree Employment Screening. And the final detail of the Orange Tree services, that's just a connection to our website. Do we typically send out a PDF? Oh, so all of these links will be live in the PDF. Thank you, Suzanne. That you can connect also with me anytime. We'll get you connected with myself and all the right team members here at Orange Tree to help you out. Obviously, there's my contact information. And as we wrap up the call, which really I think that is the conclusion of the call, I thought if we have a little bit of luck, we can show you what it looks like to actually walk across together.
That's cool.
The Kumbu ice ball. Is that crazy or what? Can you imagine looking down? That video camera guy has courage. That's all I have to say.
Woohoo!
Woohoo is right. So just remember, it takes 1.5 seconds for boiling water to turn into ice cubes in Minneapolis when it's 47 below. Know that Baudette, it was the coldest in terms of what it feels like, but as luck would have it, Warroad actually won on just straight up cold temperatures today on January 30th in Minnesota as the polar vortex invades the United States of America, North America. Where isn't it invading? Probably not Antarctica, because I think it was only about 20 below there. So folks, thanks for joining us. If you have questions, let us know. We certainly appreciate your attention today. For those of you who are clients with us today, we appreciate your business and all of our outreaches for information to hear from you, to understand how we can help you, obviously are just as critically conveyed to you as they are for everyone else on the call. So with that, I wish you a terrific conclusion of your day Wednesday.